In the wake of the recent midterm elections, a phrase I've been hearing a lot is that the reason the Democrats lost is because voters were voting against their own interests or their own economic interests or some variation of that phrase. And it's basically accusing poor and middle-class voters of either being useful idiots or having a false consciousness, because if they really understood things, of course they would vote for Democrats, because the Democrats promised them all kinds of things like a higher minimum wage or extended unemployment benefits, higher taxes on the rich, that kind of thing. I think this idea is complete bunk, and there are plenty of perfectly good economic reasons not to vote for Democrats. So I'm going to list off a few of them here. I had a high deductible health insurance plan back when I was unemployed and self-employed. And I got that, just to be sure that in case something happened to me, I wouldn't wipe out my savings or go into bankruptcy. Then Obamacare came along, and all those plans went away. They briefly rescinded it for a temporary period, but they're all gone now. And if I wanted to get the same plan again, it would cost a lot more. So that's not in my economic interest, and it's not in the economic interest of the many millions of people who were in the same situation. So that one's out. As far as the minimum wage goes, I'm not a minimum wage worker, so that doesn't apply to me. And if I was a business owner who employed minimum wage workers, that's no good for me to raise it. That makes it more expensive for me to hire more workers or to keep my operation going. So that's not my economic interest. And even the Democrats had to make an exception for this when they raised the minimum wage for federal workers. They found that for fast food places on military bases, they had to waive that higher minimum wage because the restaurants could not continue to run with a $10 an hour minimum wage. So even they recognize that it isn't in their economic interest in certain cases. If you look at ride-sharing services like Lyft or Uber, they're being banned in many large cities, most of which are controlled by Democrats. That's not in the interest of the people who make money from those services. It's not in the interest of the people who are trying to get around the city safely. It's entirely the result of the taxi cartels in those cities pressuring the government to keep prices high so they have more profits for the taxis. So that's only in the economic interest of the taxi cartels. If you look at the Keystone Pipeline, the Obama administration has been delaying that, even though it would create thousands of good jobs for skilled trades and engineering. That's not in the economic interest of anyone who could work on that project, including, I would presume, many people who are now unemployed who would like to have a job or to work in that field. That's not in their economic interest. As far as unemployment benefits go, they want to extend them, but that's not in my interest. I have a job, and even when I was unemployed, I didn't want to take the benefits because I don't believe in it. It's against my principles. So that's not in my interest, and it's not in the interest of many other people who have jobs who would have to pay higher unemployment insurance taxes to pay for that. If with the spending policies, increasing amount of debt, that is eventually going to cause inflation, which will screw over everybody. So that's not in the economic interest of anyone, really. And that's, I would say, the most serious problem is the skyrocketing debt of the country and the crisis is going to cause, because me and my children and my grandchildren are going to be on the hook for paying for that. And sooner or later, that bill is going to come due, just as it came due in Greece. So that's not in the economic interests of people who haven't even been born yet. So no reason to vote for Democrats there. At this point, the Democrats are only running on about 4 issues. That's abortion, gun control, gay marriage, and free stuff, or social goodies, welfare spending, that kind of thing. And if you are opposed or disagree with them on one or more of those issues, that party, the Democrats, have nothing to offer you. So take gun control, for example. I'm a gun owner. I believe very strongly in the right to keep and bear arms. And the political party that has worked consistently to make it harder to own, buy, sell, build, or carry a gun are the Democrats. So no reason for me or for many millions of other people to vote for them. Why? Even if I agree with them on all the economic stuff, just on that issue is enough to get me to oppose them. So, and this is sort of generalizing out from not just voting against their own economic interests, but now we're talking more about voting against their own interests. There are many religious people in this country. I'm not among them, but they're a large voting bloc, and many of them are opposed to gay marriage and abortion. And so if you run on those issues and say anyone who doesn't agree with your stance on them is not welcome in your party, you're cutting yourself off from millions of votes. Even Bill Clinton was smart enough to say that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare, and he also signed the Defense of Marriage Act, and that was sort of throwing a bone to social conservatives, but he was smart enough to do that. But today's Democrats have decided to completely alienate all religious conservatives, and the Republicans are perfectly happy to take those votes from them. Looking more some other side issues, if you believe strongly in school choice, that is, you want to believe there should be vouchers if you want to send children to a private school, the Democrats oppose that, generally. If you believe in homeschooling, same deal. The Democrats are pretty much in the pocket of the teachers' unions, and the teachers' unions are strongly opposed to school choice and homeschooling, so there's nothing for you in the Democratic Party there. And even if you look on the left side of it, if you support marijuana decriminalization or legalization, the Democrats don't have a whole lot to offer you. There have been more prosecutions under Obama, federal prosecutions for marijuana, than there were under Bush. So no difference. It's worse, actually. If you're worried about illegal immigration, the Democrats have nothing to offer you there. A lot of them are floating proposals to give amnesty to many people who came here illegally. So nothing for you there. If you're, and I think this is probably the single biggest reason they lost on Tuesday, the complete catastrophe that was the rollout of healthcare.gov. If you grew up with computers and internet commerce and all that stuff, the fact that they were able to screw up something that so many other people got right years ago, and they spent billions of dollars on it, demonstrates such a basic incompetence that why would you trust them to run anything else? So no reason to vote for them there. Coming again from the left, if you're worried about open-ended wars, undeclared wars, unconstitutional wars, never-ending wars, the Democrats aren't any better. They got nothing to offer you. Obama did briefly withdraw troops from Iraq to be truthful, or to be fair, but he's getting ready to send more of them right back to fight the ISIS guys. So not really a whole lot better. And the thing that angered me the most, and I think angered a lot of people more than anything, is the NSA spying scandal. If you care about civil liberties, you have absolutely no reason to trust the Democrats because they let this horrible abuse of the Fourth Amendment go by, and it's still going on. No prosecutions, no one's fired, nothing. So no reason to vote for the Democrats there. Hey, if I were to just list my major biographical details, you'd think I'd be completely in the tank for Team Blue. I'm under 30, I'm a college grad, I was even in the Peace Corps. I voted for Kerry in 2004 because I thought Bush was a dangerous idiot who deserved to get kicked out. And I voted for Obama in 2008 because I figured McCain was just going to do the same thing and I didn't want that. So I really thought he was going to be different, and what a huge disappointment that was. So I've been burned by Team Blue too many times, so no reason to vote for them. And this is somewhat a side issue, but the Democrats have constantly characterized their opposition as being either racist, homophobic, Bible thumpers, gun nuts, etc. And even if I agree with you on the issues, why would I vote for you if you constantly insult me? So no reason to vote for them there. So to summarize, the reason Democrats, that the country didn't vote for you is it's not propaganda, it's not brainwashing, we're not voting against our own interests, we just don't agree with you.